Isn't that beautiful? Don't know if you can see that. Harvesting my garlic today. Or at least the first part of the garlic. I got some over there that looks like it's not quite ready yet. All right, let's see how we did. That ought to keep us in garlic for a while. It's time to eat what I planted. Now this video spans about 4 weeks, and during that time I've been picking and eating melons, zucchini, cucumbers, green beans, and tomatoes in kind of an ongoing harvest. But today's video is going to be focused on garlic and onions with a few potatoes thrown in. I'm grouping these together since, unlike the others, I pull the entire crop of each out at once, kind of a one-shot deal. If you stick around to the end of the video, I'll show you how I built a long-term storage solution for the garlic and onions. Now I have enough of these to last me for months, and I'm hoping I've come up with a solution to make them last as well. Now this here, I call it my random garlic. This is where I grew garlic last year, and obviously I missed some cloves in there because it started coming up again. And I just kind of had them coming up in random places where I'd grown the garlic before. I moved them over to here, so I have no idea what it's going to look like. But I got it, so I'll go ahead and pull it and use it. That's one big old clump. Got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 or so. Oh man, that smells good. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? Pretty sure we have garlic for the whole year. Now I'm going to take this over into the shop and tie it in little bundles and hang it over in the carport where I have the other garlic curing. This is the north side of the carport, so it does not ever get any sun on them. As you can see, plenty of airflow. It's been here for several weeks, so I know it's fully cured at this point. It's done really well here. I think the onions will do great here too. So now this bed here, this is the one that really needs to get weeded. I've got 3 pepper plants and 2 eggplant plants in there. And you can't even really see them for all the weeds. Everything kind of looks the same. So hopefully I'll get a chance to get to that later. And maybe I'm a little optimistic, but I'm bringing my basket here. Well, let me scrabble around a little bit and see how it looks. But I don't want to let them get any bigger than that. We prefer them small like this. Look at that. Oh, that is beautiful. I just wasn't sure because I planted these, I think I planted these last fall, and I had a cold frame over them, and they kind of grew really well, but they never finished. There was no real potatoes there or anything, so they finally died back and I ignored it. And then this spring when I started irrigating, they started popping up again. Look at all those. Look at that, I just love this. Look at that. They're actually a little bigger than I usually like to have them. Really kind of all sizes. They run the whole gamut here. A lot of smaller ones there. You got these littler ones, and this really is the size I was hoping for. Some of them got a little bigger. That's a rock. Yeah, there we go again. Oh man, that's fun. All right, so new plan. I took the really little ones off of there. And I'm just gonna go ahead and dig some trenches there. Plant them right now. I think there might be enough time left in the season to have a whole other crop of them. I'll take all of this to the compost pile and I'll be ready to plant. So now, just in case you didn't know, because I never used to know, what I'm going to be planting are called seed potatoes. Really, any potatoes you're using to grow new potatoes are seed potatoes. And the way it works is all the potatoes grow above your seed potato. It's like the bottom of the root. So what I'm going to do is, just like I did before, I'm going to dig a couple trenches way down deep. I'll put the seed potatoes in the bottom, put some soil on it, and when they start to grow, the plant, the greenery starts coming up, and as it comes up, you just keep pushing more soil around it till you get it level here again, and then you just irrigate and wait. So here's all my little seed potatoes, and I'll just put them down at the bottom of the hole. Consult an expert before you try this yourself. Because once again, I am certainly no expert here. I really don't know how far apart they're supposed to be or anything. I'm just gonna stick them all in here. That's what I did last time, and look at all those beautiful potatoes I got. Now what I will do at this end is I'll start up these little sprinklers. These should get plenty of water. I don't even know for sure how much soil to put over top of them. We'll start with a little bit, make sure they stay wet, and go from there. All right, they're all in. Well, it looks like it's onion day finally. These guys are all kind of dying back, so I guess that means they're done. So I'm just gonna go ahead and dig them up and see what we got here. From the top, they look pretty good. Look at that, that's beautiful. Well, these guys are really wet. Hope I'm not wrecking the onion skins on them. But now that I'm started, I'm gonna go ahead and finish. Could be I should have shut off the water for a few days before pulling them. But in the meantime, I'll get these out and let's real carefully carry them into the shop and see if I can hang them like I hang my garlic. Wow, look at that thing there. That is beautiful. That's a lot of onions. Look at that. That's not even half of them. All right, that's all of them. Look at that. I just love this. I think they'll be all right. Now my red onions never do quite as well as my white ones do, but I do love the red onions. So we go ahead and pull these, hang them just like the others, and they should be fine after a few weeks or so, I think it takes. All right, so back in the carport, and here we go. Garlic gone, onions hanging. And I suppose they're gonna hang for a couple of weeks or so, and then I gotta find some place to put them. So now that I've finished harvesting all of my garlic and my onions and cured them both, I gotta find a long-term storage solution for them. Now I've got enough garlic to last me at least till next year's harvest, and I've got enough onions maybe for the next 6 months or so. But the trick is getting them to last. Now I do have the perfect location for them. It's right over here. Now this is the northeast corner of my shop, and outside this wall I've got a tall fence, and behind me here are the carports. So the sun never shines on either of these walls. This is probably the coolest corner on the whole property outside of the air-conditioned house. Now I want to put them right down here below my bottom shelf, but I can't exactly just dump them on the floor, and I can't put them in a bucket because they'll rot for sure. I don't even want to leave the garlic in that basket for too long because while there's a little airflow on the outside, the ones in the middle are going to go soft. But I do have an idea. Now I'm going to want to have 3 shelves. I want 2 shelves for the onions and 1 shelf for the garlic. But I've got a real strict height limitation there, so the shelves are going to be kind of close together. And if I just build it underneath there, it's going to be really hard to reach in and get those from the back. So what I'm going to do is put it on wheels. I'm going to make it so I can roll it right out. And I'm going to use this hardware cloth for the shelves because I want airflow. Now hardware cloth is kind of like a really heavy-duty galvanized steel screen. That should be plenty strong to support the garlic and the onions in there. All right, I got it flattened out, and that wasn't easy. So let's get a measurement here. All right, so that is 59.5 inches, which means for 3 shelves, the most I can do is just slightly under 20 inches deep. Now this is what's left of an old Doug fir 4x6 that's been sitting around here for so long, I finally started cutting it up lately for different projects I had. Now what I don't like about this piece is I got a pretty nasty looking knot right here and kind of a nasty one there. But what I'm going to need to make the sides of the frame is I'm going to need 6 of the, call it 24-inch pieces and 6 of the 20-inch pieces. Now if I cut on each side of this knot and each side of this knot, out of this end here, I can get 6 of the 20-inch pieces. Out of the middle here, I can get 6 of the 24-inch pieces. And what's left here will give me plenty of material to make the legs or the uprights on it. There we go, first step done. So now I want the shelf frames, or the shelf sides, whatever you want to call them, to be 1.5 inches tall and 5/8 of an inch thick. So I have my fence here set at 5/8 of an inch from the blade. But I can't raise my blade on this saw high enough to cut through the full 3.5 inches all in one pass. So I have it set to just a little more than halfway. I'll run it through once, flip it over, and cut through the other side. It's an extra step, but this is nice material, and I got to use it for something. All right, well that looks good. The next step is I'll cut the rest of them out, then I'll set the saw to 1.5 inches, and I'll rip them to 1.5 inches this way for the height of the sides. All right, so that's 6 of them, 3 of each size. So now I'll go ahead and reset my fence to 1.5 inches, and I want to lower the blade down a little bit. It really doesn't need to be that high. There we go. There should be just a couple blades above, a couple teeth above your work. Now you see me getting my fingers pretty close to that blade. Don't do what I do. Don't take anything I'm doing as the safest way to do it. I've been using power tools of every kind since I was 16 years old, and I can still count to 10. Doesn't mean I'm lucky, and it doesn't mean I'm perfect. It just means I'm very careful, and I understand exactly how all my machines work. Like I always say, if you're going to do anything that I'm doing, I want you to be a lot more careful than I am. Now I didn't have quite enough material left over to make those 4 corners 1.5 inches square. So I do have a piece of 4x4, also been sitting around forever. So I'm just going to go ahead and mill it down, and I'll get 4 1.5 inch pieces out of it. Now this piece is a little ugly, so what I did was I cut it right down the middle. I've got about 1.5 inches left here. So I'm going to go ahead and run it through twice, so I can cut away all the kind of the nasty, ugly stuff. See that? Look how nice and fresh that makes it. That is fantastic. See if I can do it without cutting myself. Leaves these sharp little points here. I got to be very careful. And it also occurred to me that with these sharp little points here, if I just staple that up to the bottom of my wooden frames, it's going to have some really sharp points all the way around. So what I'm going to have to do is bend it up a little bit on the edges and staple it to the inside of the frame. And because of that, the frame's getting a little smaller again in the 20-inch size. It's probably going to be all the way down to like, just over 18 inches by the time I have enough to bend up in there. So what I've decided to do, since I do have the material, I'm going to make it a little longer than 24. So it's going to end up like 26 or 28 by about 18, I think, when I have the finished size. Now I've already cut the hardware cloth to the right width. In fact, that's how I determined exactly how wide to make the frames. Next I need to cut it to length. And since I want to have about the same bend on all sides, I'm going to go ahead and just center it on here side to side and see what the overhang is. And get about the same overhang on the ends. Now I don't need to mark it. I can just follow the lines along. With that cut, I'm going to go ahead and lay my frame back on here and center it once again. And I'm just going to make a little mark in here. I only need a mark on one end because, once again, I can just follow the lines in the hardware cloth. Now, the easiest way to bend the sides up is this little tool here. It's actually made for bending sheet metal, but I think it'll fit on there. Now, it's going to be a little hard to slide on there because the edge of the hardware cloth goes like that. But if I can get it on there, it'll give you a really nice, even bend. There we go. Bend that right up. All right. Got it on there. Bend it right up. There we go. Now I got a little piece here in between the two that's a bit wavy, so I use this tool, also a sheet metal tool, just to kind of straighten that out. So now I'll just go around all 4 sides and do that. Now let's see if it fits. Oh yes, that is beautiful. I don't know if you can see that, but that all fit nicely inside there. and I'll be able to just run some staples in there. Now we'll just go ahead and do the other two, then we'll be looking good. Now before I staple those in, I'm going to have to cut out each corner of each one of these for the uprights that are going to go there. So I think what I'm going to do is just go ahead and mark them in place, then I'll take it out of the frame before I staple it, cut that corner out, and put it back in. And there we go. Got that little corner cut out. Now we'll just go ahead and do all the rest of these, and we can see about fastening the hardware cloth onto the frame and then putting the whole thing together. The way I'm doing this is I'm starting with the flat on the workbench, so I can push it down and push the frame down and just kind of tack it in place in a way. Just put a few in. That way I can make sure that it's even with the bottom of the frame. All right, I can close the shop door there. It's a little darker in here because it sounds like the neighbor's using a leaf blower again. Anyway, I got it tacked in there. Then what I'll do is I'll go around, and where I want to staple it is as close to the bottom edge as possible. And I'm also going to put a row near the top. That way, if the hardware cloth bends out a little bit, I want it just tight there. And it's so quick and easy with this pneumatic stapler. I think if I had to staple it by hand, I might not be doing quite as good a job. Go. It is nicely stapled all the way around there. You can see where I folded that out for the corner post. So that's looking really good. I think the easiest way to put this together is just by put it on edge. I slid the leg or the vertical or the upright, whatever, through, and I'll just nail it in there, and I'll flip it over a few times. Now I'm only using nails for now, but I am going to add some screws later because I just don't think nails are going to be strong enough. I spun it around, so that was backwards. Let's try to do this right. Luckily, I put what's called a witness mark. That's the side of this line that the piece goes on. My witness mark just saved me from making a big error. All right, so there's the basic shape. This thing is looking good. Easy enough to reach in there. I think it's going to work fine. All right, looking great here. Like I said, pre-drill. I want to be careful not to go in too deep because I want the threads to bite into this leg here. Well, that is really looking good. And this is very sturdy. Well, it's finally time to put the wheels on. Now, the only wheels I have are these swivel casters. Whenever I'm making something like this, I don't like to have a swivel caster on all four wheels because when I go to move it in and out, it just kind of wants to go all over the place. I really prefer to have the swivel casters on what I call the front and have the back wheels be fixed. Now, since I didn't have any, I had to find a solution. So what I did was I drilled a hole right here all the way through, and then once I have these in place, I can run a screw through that hole so these will be fixed and only the front ones will swivel. Is it. That is going to work great. That is just going to work so well. Now I'll go bring in my onions, dump my garlic in the top, put the onions on these shelves, push it into place, and I'll be done. Well, that really looks good. I just could not be happier. Let's go put it into place, see how it looks there, see if it fits. All right, here's this moment of truth. Now, I never did check the height on this, but I think it'll be fine. All right, well, that looks fantastic. But the only thing I don't know about is whether I need to leave it open like that or if I can bring the dust cover down. I know I need some airflow around them, but that's hardly airtight. Let me know in the comments what you think. For now, I'm gonna leave it like this. I'm just gonna keep an eye on it. I think it'll be fine. Well, that worked out. It's just exactly as I hoped it would. I couldn't be happier with the finished project. Now it looks like just got a little bit of cleanup here in the shop and I'll be ready for the next project.